Let's try to check out some of the winners in this field as opposed to those guys right there. I think there were some interesting stories throughout the field of guys who had incredible runs. I felt like I was going to be one of them, but I didn't because we broke the left front suspension of our car. So I didn't quite pull that off.
You had a good first half, dude.
We did have a
really
good first half. We were a top 20 car in the Charlotte 300. We just didn't quite do the full.
Hey, we've all been there. Everybody's been there, man. Everybody you've driven, you've been there.
I just think that's the part to me that was, I just got. That's why I love the 600 because it goes either way. But I think, when you look at the other winners, one of those is Logano coming back from his struggles early on.
And you heard him right there. If you had told him early in the race that they were going to finish second, I think he would have parked, got out, went home, and thanked everybody. And that would have been the end of the conversation because he was not even close the first half of the race. But as he said, they made adjustments. They knew they had a plan. And that's one thing that he and Todd do. They have a plan, and they stick to it. They don't get too far away from it. They come back, put themselves in position to run second. And like he said, who's going to complain about running second on Memorial Day? It's so much bigger, and it's about so many more important things. That was well said.
Yeah, it is that. The only thing that I think they'll probably go back and say, how did we let a car that hit the wall be so much faster than how much faster was he going to be if he hadn't hit the wall? And he had shown that. He had driven to the front. But a great job by Joey Logano. That's championship caliber driver and team that do things like that whenever you are just not in the game and you make adjustments and the track's kind of coming to you. Great job.
And we'll get into his teammates later and some of the losers, but it's just funny to see that dichotomy because you had him who was struggling early, them doing really well, Brad winning the stages, and then it flipped around. So I just think that's so crazy. But you know what? Just behind him were some other drivers. I'd like to talk about the other winners. Let's start with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in fifth. Spins out at one point. I mean, come on. He's going through that turf that Darrell Waltrip loves so much.
Out, but
he got a little help.
Yeah, he did get a little help.
But that turf, we got to talk about the turf, too. Man, because that would have torn up the cars in years past. So the Rover brought a lot of good things, including that turf.
Listen, Ricky did a great job. Great job. But the one move that I love that Ricky tried was when he dove in there and tried to get the 18. Did you? When it's like just going to get him, just missed him and up the racetrack. And I'm like, dang, so close, man. They got into each other the first part of the race, and that's the way it was. But Ricky, that team, and we were fortunate to do some stuff with Ricky this week, and he said we weren't good at the All-Star race, but we know why. We're going to be okay when we come back, and they were. He and Ryan both. The Roush organization was definitely on the win side.
And as you saw in that graphic, some of the other drivers you have to give a shout-out to real quick. Chris Buescher coming home sixth. He knocked the right side off that thing. Came all the way back. That was really impressive. Corey LaJoie in 12th with Go Fast Racing. I raced around him a lot of times when we do these Cup races. That is an incredible day. And he's off to, honestly, an incredible last few weeks. He's actually ahead of in points of a certain driver you might know
quite well. Keep pointing at me for it, man. I don't drive a race car anymore.
Your surname's on that thing.
on that thing.
Yeah, Bubba Wallace is ahead of him in points.
But and you got to shout out David Ragan, man. David Ragan, they put themselves there at the end. They didn't have a shot at winning the race there at the end, starting on the front row. But they knew that was their shot to make something happen. And I'm telling you, for the first 7 or 8 laps after that restart, he was the guy. He was 5th or 6th on the outside, making it happen, man. Hey, making it happen.
I want to go to that moment right now. I think we have some sound from that exact moment of him deciding to stay out and stay in front of the field.
Give me a freaking break. 19 just came up and asked if we were going to drop to the rear. Tell me to go f himself. Yeah, that's pretty much was the way I said it. So what do you expect us to do, dude? We ain't going to drop to the rear with 5 to go. We're on the lead lap. We're leading the race. No, we're not going to drop to the rear. Well, no, you all don't have tires. I don't care.
I love that, man.
I love that.
But they're right.
In a race.
They're right. Yeah. You know what? And so many times, you're not sure. Where's this guy? How's he running? What's he doing? They've not seen David Ragan all night long. All night long, nobody's seen him. I mean, because he's not been lapped. You know, the leaders haven't lapped him. They've not. So he's been running good enough. They put themselves in position to get a good finish. They ended up 14th or 15th right along there. But they ran so much better than that at different times during the race. If they had equal tires, they would have had better finish, obviously, at the end, I do believe. But, man, that's it's a little bit of lack of respect for those guys to say, okay, front row, you don't deserve to be up there. You need to go to the back. That's a little bit of
entitlement. I didn't like.
That's a little bit of a diss right there.
And sure,
I love the call.
Yeah, that's a Hail Mary.
Why didn't a couple of others? Because that could have definitely been different if a few others stay out there and give yourself that chance at the end of that
just
race.
that little cushion.
I was surprised that as many pitted as they did.
Yeah.
When that happened, with that few laps left.
How many times have we seen in the history of Martin Truex, he comes down pit road, everybody stays out. Yeah. Martin stays out, everybody comes down. I mean, it's like Martin's that magnet. Whatever he does, everybody does the opposite. But in this case, when he pulled off, everybody came with him. I was really surprised that Moore didn't try.
Gibbs, as a whole, though, did not have a great night. So you have the winner there in Martin Truex Jr., but as you look back at the other cars, right front issues. Well, even the affiliate of Matt Benedetto had the right front go down. What was going on there?
It seemed like all the Gibbs-associated Toyotas had right front issues. What was that? Who knows? I mean, if you say conspiracy, then all 5 of them didn't run over something on the racetrack and have a flat. Obviously, they had an issue with whatever their simulation had shown them was going to be their best front-end settings or what the travel or what they saw they needed there. Was it camber? I don't know. I like to think it was a little bit of camber and that Truex knocked his out and fixed his whenever he ran in the wall because he never had an issue the rest of the night. You know what I mean? So obviously whatever did happen, they understood it enough to counter it. But later we saw the 11 of Denny Hamlin, and I thought all their problems were over before that. So, that was not they don't need to go back with that same package, I don't believe.
I think Eric Jones did it right, though. I saw this on Twitter. Basically, he got it done. He killed it early. If you're going to wreck in a 600-mile race, get it done and get out early a little bit there. But, Dale, I mean, that's the problem. I mean, this is part of the attrition of this race.
Yeah, and it's the balance that you always have at a place like Charlotte, 1.5 miles, is that, how much are we willing to do to try to make our car better than other cars? And so they were right on that fine line. Was it a combination of camber and air pressure that they did, and they could solve a little of it by changing the air pressure in that right front? I don't know. Obviously, the 19 group figured it out. Kyle Busch had a really good night. So a couple of them were able to manage through it and make the most of it.
Yeah, and I'll say this. It was fascinating to watch the in-car on how much you guys were on throttle once you got down. It's like, so you're just punishing that right front corner after corner after corner. So that was pretty
I was really
amazing.
tight to start, and I got worried when all those guys were popping. And then this is actually what's funny, though, is in some respects, is that I saw then suddenly it was just Joe Gibbs cars. Yeah. And I said, well, we don't get any information from them. So I'm not worried now.
I'm not worried now.
We're not going to have a problem at all. Speaking of a team that doesn't get any affiliation, Chip Ganassi Racing, not a great night for them. They win the All-Star race with Kyle Larson, but then they have 2 cars basically get wrecked. Yeah. And it was back to regressing to the mean a little bit for them in terms of not.
Yeah, and I think I had hopes for this team. I had hopes for Kyle Larson, especially after winning the All-Star race. Totally different kind of race. It's a sprint race. It's right up Kyle Larson's alley. This is an endurance race, no matter how you look at it. 600 miles is an endurance race. But it really felt like they would carry some momentum from that win over here. Wasn't really worried about the one car of Kurt Busch because he's just been steady Eddie all year long for the last part of last year and this year. But I think if you look at a team that was a major letdown for what their expectations were, I think the Ganassi organization coming in, they have to be scratching their head a little bit today.
And Dale, I just wanted to say, you and I were talking about something earlier, actually it was on the call earlier today we had before this show, about this becoming a young man's game with this kind of racing. And we saw the aggression out of Kyle Larson and out of Kurt Busch, and the aggression everyone has on the restarts. And I'm telling you, it's the craziest racing. It's 3, it's 4 wide every restart. But you're saying you can't do that for a long time in a career, like that kind of, that kind of intensity.
I didn't think you could do it for 600 miles, so you guys proved me wrong in that. Some didn't make it through all of that. But as I watched this race, and you saw the All-Star race, and you say, okay, that's a short race. There's nothing there. I thought that things would be a lot more calm than what they were. But the intensity was Talladega and Daytona style racing for 600 miles. It was incredible to watch. I mean, one of the best races I've ever seen in my life, and just with all the passing, everything going on. But it made me sit and think about the fact that this is a young man's game again, and I'm not saying that, obviously Truex is getting closer to 40 and you've got Harvick and them. They still do a great job. But I think that if this is the style of racing we're going to see for years to come, which I'm sure the fans hope this is what we're going to see. Drivers you can't withstand that and take that and perform at that level as you get longer into your career. So I think it becomes a young man's game once again, which opens the door for a lot of people to have a lot of success.
That's really interesting. And real quick, though, does Kyle Larson make the playoffs? He's on the bubble right now.
You're going to have to perform a lot better. And be, be smarter in situations. That yesterday, you can't put that on anything except for him making a mistake. I thought when he got up there, I said, well, he's going to rebound. He got it in the wall early. He's going to be okay. But he's got his work cut out for it. And I thought Kurt was just having another Kurt day. And you don't generally see him have things like that to happen. But I think it's going to be tough for Larson.
Hey, Motorsports fans, thanks for watching. Make sure you hit subscribe before you go for all the latest news and highlights across motorsports.